This
videos.
conference will now be recorded.
You
All
know,
right,
maybe we
sorry.
can have links and you know, quick scrub ahead to
Yeah.
see the part that you're interested in.
And part of this is going to be part of this whole 2.0 cheat sheet beginner's guide thing that I've been talking about is going to be to add a more interactive experience, because I know people like the 2 minute long videos that show how to set the air system and that's it, and then this next part. And it's cool to have a full, video, and we can add, like you say, hot links to other things and to other resources. And we definitely want to do that with our documentation and make it so it's more, maybe not so much interactive, but more palatable, easy. I mean, you know, uh, I'm still finding with, we got off our thing. Jim's probably about ready to tell me to shut up. We have to introduce everyone. Nope. Okay. So I got off task a little bit. We were talking about some stuff. Welcome to the to the webinar. Uh, if anybody has any questions, let me know. I'm Brian, one of the techs, and Chris. The Chris's are with us. Chris and CeeLo, the other two techs. Um, and Rotoboss Jason is here, and Jim and George. So most everybody, Ronnie, good to see you on here. Feel free to kick your mic on if you have any questions or comments or anything at any time. Otherwise, we'll get way off tangent. We see a squirrel, we're going to run for it. So anyway, anybody got any news?
What you was talking about earlier, view times. You got to remember the time of year.
Yeah.
Everybody's out doing crap, so your viewership's going to be down. And just like when I was researching this, Thunder, and maybe I'm different, but it was during the wintertime more or less. I just set the TV on and I just ran these things and sat there and listened to them as I was doing other stuff. And I learned a lot. But like I said, that was wintertime. Like right now, I had to stop what I was doing to come in um, to do this because I'm busy because I'm outdoors. So that could be one of the reasons why. And you're muted for some reason. And I didn't do it.
I did because there was some feedback. Yeah, I thought it might have been Loco, CeeLo. I I muted him. He's stuffing his face anyway. So
So I got a good question.
all right,
Who's worked with white oak?
not me.
Oak sucks.
I'm learning.
Just in general, because
Looks nice.
okay, this is just even an example. If you use with my sanding system that I've got, I actually have sponge sanders that go on my sander for doing detail and profiles and stuff. Now, if I take that same piece of sandpaper and run across that oak and just left that sponge on there, you're going to have a ripple cur across that entire piece of board. It will never be flat with that type of sanding. The laser is going to do the exact same thing for the exact same purpose: soft and hard, soft and hard. So you're going to get, if you're running it at 50 power, 20 power, whatever it is, let's say you're going to get 20 power on the hard spot, and then you're going to gain. And I just caught a cat. My cat literally just wrapped herself in my earphones. I kept going. But like in your soft spots of the oak, instead of 20, it might resemble 40 or 50 power. If that makes any sense, or if I'm even wording that right, but I'm sure that gets the principle across somewhat.
That's exactly what I'm noticing. So you're getting these like great dark lines, and then right behind it, you're getting a real light contrasting light line.
Yeah. And then you'll also find out too that you'll get a little bit of a ripple in it. If you feel it, you'll feel that it's not smooth. It's got a valley hill in it, depending if you're running into cathedrals and stuff.
The best way to do that kind of stuff is to make sure you go across the grain, not with it. Because if you go with the grain, it'll dig in a lot. It'll be a lot more pronounced. As if you, instead of going across the grain, it won't be as pronounced.
Yeah, just don't ever run it like a 90-degree scan angle. Make it 0 or 180. Don't to try to accomplish that, or it might not be good.
But your oaks and your pines are going to do pretty much the exact same thing.
I like it on my pine when I do like a leg sign or something. Do a real deep engraved. It looks a little more woodsy, that grain variation. But all my text and stuff is left at the top at the flat surface. That was done by the planers or whatever. And so everything else below it is rippled and cool looking. I like that style. Pine's messy though.
But your
Cool.
maples, your maples and walnuts and cherries, and those don't have a tendency to do it because they don't have the cathedral patterns and they have less chance of having the densities in the wood change so much. That really screws me up when I hear myself.
I remember calling into a radio station one time and it was like that. You know, when you were trying to win tickets or whatever, and they're trying to talk to you, you're like, what? You're like, turn it down. Turn it down. It's funny. So,
And then the other thing I wanted to ask you, so I've had my rotary unit for a year. Every time I go to plug it in, I always, watch a couple of the videos first. And is it me who's thinking that it's way too complex, or am I just overreading into things?
You're overreading into things.
I thought it's
like reading too much in, like how? As far as like the calibrating it and that kind of thing? Or
calibrating, getting the number of steps correct. And then it seems like everybody comes out with a video and they say, oh, but watch this video first. And you watch that one. Oh, but before you do anything, watch this video first. And then you go down the rabbit hole, right?
right?
And then the next thing you know, you're like, wait a minute, they're trying to do a full 360 wrap. All I'm trying to do is engrave on one side.
Yeah. So I think if I could convey one important factoid about the steps per rotation and the rotary is the steps per rotation theoretically are defined by a physical constant, which is going to be the cumulative gear ratios or the aggregate ratio of the rotary, for that equipment. So it's not like an adjustment, you know what I mean? Even though people change that because of the diameters and stuff, it's really kind of convoluted to do it that way because that's a number to match up the mechanical equipment to the motor itself. All of that other stuff can be napkin math, or you can fill up a whole chalkboard if you want to, depending on how deep you want to dive. And Chris wrote some good articles on it. Of course, we got the Rotoboss guy here, and again, I'm going to defer because I do one thing I do most of is cups, and I only do like 12 every couple of months, so it's less than one a day. But so I don't do anything special. It's just a logo, on a cup. It's not a full wrap or anything. So I've never done a full wrap on a cup because I haven't.
And really, if you are spinning the larger side of the cup and not the smaller side, you shouldn't have to touch it. The only time that you should touch the steps per rotation is going to be when you are doing a full wrap, and it has to be that perfect 360.
Yeah, and there's a big enough substantial difference between the diameter of the part being driven and where the work is going to be. So,
right.
Yeah.
Hence, like a 30-ounce water bottle where you've got the neck onside the drive wheels versus the body of the drive wheels, or
right.
off that other direction.
Right, because even the designer of the rotary, Jason, doesn't know how to do a water bottle. He does them the wrong way. Well, I'm waiting.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Wow, that was a long time.
I was trying to my audio on my car was switching over. I heard something about Jason Rotary don't know how to do something. That's all I heard.
Water bottles, you do them wrong.
Oh, I do?
I think so.
No.
GPS, change route to Loco's house.
Yeah, right.
All right, y'all, you're in for a treat. The topic of the day is it Chris in the blue
See,
corner or is it going to be Jason in the red corner?
It,
the whole
he's
purpose is the whole purpose is to not lose your clamping abilities. The turning around is not the optimal way to do it. It does take a little bit to set up your steps for it, but once it's set, you can save the profile for whatever that object is, and then you can just load that profile when you're ready to use it. Like mine, I have a folder designated for different profiles. Like if I have a 40-ounce water bottle, a 32-ounce, 20-ounce, whatever, each one of them profiles is saved in there. So all I got to do when I want to use it is load that specific profile and go to town. So I mean,
Or you can take the clamp off and turn it around the other way.
Yeah, and then run the risk of slipping. But
You know, that rotary is so good that it doesn't slip.
I know it typically doesn't. But to mitigate any concerns or issues, yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat, of course. So I'm
That's
not
true.
I'm not arguing the point. It just wasn't made. It wasn't made to function that way.
Or you could have the third option and make yourself a ring to match the diameter of the tumbler, and then you don't have to turn it around. You just leave it normal and use this
Yeah.
clamp.
Where'd you
Why
come
would
from?
you do that?
Jeez.
Well, why would you do that and have a bunch of extra parts laying around because you'd have to have a different one for every type of tumbler you ever did. They're not universal. So if you had JDS and Yeti and Arctic and Ozark and everybody, you'd have to have a set of rings for each one of those that you do, for each size that you do. So that's kind of pointless.
Well, I live
What's
in a
the
wood.
difference between having a stack of rings and a stack of profiles? You still got to switch them out.
Yeah, but the stack of rings you got to pay for. The profiles you don't.
Yeah.
Then you got to
That's true.
store them.
Yeah,
I think
Chris,
the
where you gonna
going
store
rate
your
for-
rings,
for-
man?
I think the going rate for a set of rings is like $40 for like, I think 3 rings for each different type. That's a lot of money.
I guess that could
I'll go-
the skin of the cat is.
I
Or
was
we'll
just
leave it.
throwing
for this.
I was just throwing the other option out there that I've seen. It's all no harm, no
There's-
foul. I just
there's
seen
one
it.
Everybody's got their way of doing it, and there ain't no wrong way. It's just whatever works for you.
So with that, George, it's definitely not complicated. You should be good to go. Right? Do we just?
Yeah, did you have
I feel
you
so
seen
much
any
better.
information?
My recommendation on that would be to at least first start with the recommendations of the manufacturer, and then go from there. Because there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of videos out there. You know, the different ways of doing things. Like the 360 and the scale setup are 2 different purposes. You know, they don't work congruently. So if you're doing 360 reps, then the 360 is good. If you're doing scale designs, then setting it up 1-to-1 or 2-to-2, however you want to do it, is the best way to do it.
So not to
Y'all
put you
didn't
too
mention
much.
you had to bring a fire extinguisher to shut this computer down
Oh, it's all good.
Do
when it
what?
starts getting heated around here.
Oh, it's all good fun. Hey, Jason. So with
Yeah.
that, you kind of hinted on having the different setups. Have you spent time with your Autoboss mod creating anything, any kind of library repository with it?
For the Autoboss, yeah. And Chris has got that, so he could tell you better on that. I don't have one in house right now.
I think you said he
I'm gonna
lost the clamp.
Oh yeah, you probably did taking it off all the time.
Jesus Christ. I'm glad I didn't miss this one. That's a good one.
But-
Here I could have been out playing on the skid steer.
Yeah. No, I think having that repository of sizes is going to be a huge benefit, right? A lot of people they burn through cups, they burn through other items too, the leatherettes and stuff, and they get their settings wrong. We get several customers that say, "Oh, the Lightburn's changing my settings while I'm running the job," but it's really that the Lightburn can't read the settings while it's running, stuff like that. But having that auto boss say, okay, I can set this up for you, and then
Well, the
depending on
auto,
what level, yeah, and
well,
then you
the
also got
auto
to
boss
remember
will
your steps of
auto.
rotation,
Well, yeah,
right?
because
'Cause-
you have to have two instances of Lightburn to run the auto boss. One
okay,
one controls one controls the rotary, one controls the laser.
oh, that's cool.
So, and the second instance runs the rotary. It auto homes and everything, so it cycles itself. It knows exactly where it's at each time. So if you click on I think there's like I put in like 5 or 6 profiles. So if you go from a 20 ounce to 30 ounce down to a mug up to a water bottle or whatever, you just click on that particular one and it'll automatically go to that setting.
Do you know if there's any way, maybe you've already done this, where you can also script in writing the machine settings for the steps? Not necessarily the positions of the rotary, but the steps onto the U-axis.
Like, do what now?
Can you change the steps roller diameter through some sort of scripting? Just how like you're controlling it with the other instance of Lightburn, could you also write machine settings so that the user selects, okay, I'm doing a JDS whatever. Your rotary sets up and it goes ahead and throws in your recommended steps per rotation. To me, that's where the
Yeah,
value is for
that's
that.
what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. The profiles, like
Yeah.
your machine setting profiles, where it says load or save.
Yeah.
Like once you set up an item, you save that profile, and then all you have to do is go load profile. It pops up the menu, and you pick which one you want to load. You hit the button, and all your settings are in there. So you don't
But
you
okay.
don't have to mess with anything, and you can
But
do
does
that
that,
for the water bottles or whatever.
yeah, I guess what I'm talking about, like whatever's controlling your Autobots, that controller and
No,
that second instant Lightburn, it doesn't do any of that
no,
automatically. That where, okay,
no, that's just directly. It's like plugging into a different laser. It doesn't. It can't crosstalk. It's not
okay,
controlling the steps of the laser. It's only
okay.
controlling the positioning of the wheels and all that stuff to
Man,
accommodate a particular item that you have pre-programmed into it.
it would be cool though if you got with Lightburn and could script that up somehow. Because I'm telling you, the users, if you told somebody here's a way to set your rotary for this cup and it also sets your steps for you, like almost like a recipe system, they would love that. Because a lot of people don't understand these are machine level settings that don't live with the file. So
Yeah.
they oh, I ran this 3 months ago and I downloaded it and I ran it again and everything was
Well,
skewed.
the steps and everything. If you save the profile, it saves all that. Now it won't save your cut parameters or your engraving parameters and stuff.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
just talking about like
but
if it can write in positions of the auto boss and the steps and roller diameter, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah, the auto boss is never meant to be like a mainstream thing.
Jason, I'm gonna
Yeah.
send. I'm I'm gonna send it to Chris. He's got more
Okay.
time than I do. He might actually write something on it.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, the auto boss just for somebody that wants to tinker and have something different. I mean, I never tried to make it something like a production machine per se. Now, I mean, it is available if somebody wants it, but it's not something we keep on the shelf ready to go.
I'm looking for articles. Sorry. If anybody has anything to add, feel free to pop in. I'm checking something real quick. Let's see.
So Jason, to kind of summarize everything you just said, you're saying it works?
What's that? The auto boss?
I'm just messing with you, man. That's all.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It sounded like to me like you were talking like rocket science meets chemical engineering.
He was talking about a whole different beast, George, too, at the same time. They were on a completely different subject. They were on the Autoboss, which is basically a completely different beast from the Rotoboss.
Yeah. I mean, the Autoboss is derived from the Rotoboss, but the Autoboss is autonomous. You don't have to manually adjust anything or anything. It's all based on programming and your profiles and parameters and stuff for each given item. So it's just a way to kind of, like, if you switched a lot between cups of different types of objects, it's just quick and easy to do. It's something to tinker with. Like I said, it's definitely not for everybody, because it does take some time to get your profile set up and all that stuff. But I mean, it's pretty easy.
Cool. What time is it? 3:22. All right, we're not doing bad. George
Technically,
is
it's
laughing at me
4:21.
again. What is it? No, it's 3:20.
It's
3:21.
4:21.
George, in all reality, just the standard rotary, it's fairly simple as long as you get your steps per rotation figured out, which is not difficult.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of videos out there to figure out how to do the steps per rotation. I think Cofield, had one at one point in time. I don't know if it's who I'm thinking of or not, but it's not difficult. And then doing tumblers themselves, the 20 ounce, the 30 ounce, the standard regular tumblers,
Yeah.
or anything that's pretty much straight walled and has the same parameters of where the opening is of what you're engraving to what's on the drive wheels versus what you're engraving. They're simple. I mean, on an average, you'd have one done in about every 2 minutes.
You know, there's 12-ounce insulated wine tumblers. The low boys, they just kind of sit flat.
Those can be weird, I think. I tried chucking one of those up, and it can be goofy.
Talk about the stemless.
The stemless,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had zero problems with those. I ran them and just scooted the wheels in, got it leveled out. And
Definitely
I
use the
didn't.
clamp.
Yeah, you didn't have to change anything.
One other thing to watch out
Yeah, I think
for is a lot of times if you're doing a batch of cups, like you get Amazon specials and maybe Yeti's capable of it, but they're not all going to be the same exact diameter or length. You can be running through a 100 cup order and all of a sudden one jams up and you're like flipping out of the rotary. Put the cups side by side. They are just a fraction of a bit difference. When you frame them, one will run smooth and the other will just jam up. That's something to watch out for if you do get deep into the rotary
I've seen
business.
them.
That's why that gap needs to be there to accommodate for that. And still,
Yeah.
even with that, because I've had people, they'll run a batch or a box of cups, and they'll happen to grab one of the shorter cups, and they'll set the rotary up for that, and then they put another cup in there, and it's like a millimeter longer for whatever reason, and it jams up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just checking it periodically helps too, just to make sure, because it's not like a sheet of paper out of a printer where they're all the same exact size no matter what. And you ain't got to worry about it.
And I frame all of mine because a lot of times that makes them walk right back into place. You know, even if they act a little goofy at first, they'll straighten up. I'll spin them forward, spin them backwards just to make sure, you know, on that frame. Sometimes I'll frame it twice, not to check it, but just to make sure the cup's going to ride. Took me a while to learn that one.
Yeah, typically once you use it enough, you'll kind of find, you know, what that rhythm is or what that sweet spot is, where it needs to sit, how it needs to sit, and that's just kind of what you got to work towards, I guess. The more you use it, the easier it becomes.
That's right.
I mean, probably 90% of the time, I don't even check stuff anymore. I just load the file and hit start. But so someone hit me up about they're doing like a margarita, like it was a bottle that was cut, and they turned it into a margarita glass. They were wondering how to engrave it. And same thing with kind of like the wine glasses, where you got to kind of find, I guess, the sweet spot on the cup where it doesn't move as much, because obviously with the multiple and the complex curves and stuff on it, it can have a tendency to want to walk or move. And like Brian said, if you just frame it real quick, it's usually going to find where it's going to ride, like where it's going to sit perfectly.
And dead air.
I like this part.
I can't tell if I get disconnected or something or not. It just goes like dead silence.
Dead air.
All right.
It's where Brian usually relies on me to crack on something.
Jim, what you got, man?
A lot of
It's
mud.
that time.
A lot of mud. It had to rain on me for an inch and a half of rain last night after I broke probably close to an acre of ground open. And then it had to dump an inch and a half of rain on me. You know, in an area that's typically wet anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do
That
the slip
sounds
and
fun.
slide today. Yeah.
So, cool. I don't think we have anything new going on other than the new stuff that's been going on.
Well, then what's the new stuff that's been going on?
The new get it starting guide or whatever. The new 2.0
Well, then tell
documents
us
and a
about it.
landing page.
Well, tell
Huh?
us about it, Brian. Tell us about it. I haven't seen it.
Well, Grant hasn't debraded it yet because we're having multiple different facets of the organization comb it and make sure that it looks okay before I actually publish it.
And you're relying
So-
on Grant.
No. Oh, I'm relying on everybody.
Oh, why couldn't Grant be in here?
I'm relying on everybody. But once it's okayed, it's going to be a uniform landing page, whether you have trouble or whether you need to know where to start. Hopefully, as soon as you sign on the dotted line for your laser, you're clicking the button next and starting to look at the stuff. Main reason is we've found through our analytics that number one, people are buying these machines not because they researched them for 6 months and know that they're awesome machines, but because they can get one in 2 weeks now. And so some people don't even know what the cheat sheet is, even though we send it and that kind of thing.
All right, can you mute?
Yep, thank you.
Yep. So we want to get it out there and make sure that it's easy to find, easy to get to the information that you need. So it's basically going to have a short blurb about how to get help and support. And then it's going to have a link, whether you got a Nova or an Aurora or an Odin, where to go to the getting started guide. And it's going to be kind of like a cheat sheet. So that's what that's all about. And then the new cheat sheets we're having to build out. So in order to streamline that process and basically distill it, kind of like the Usual Suspects article is kind of a distillation of the cheat sheet. If you take what's in the Usual Suspects and you master those, or at least have an idea of those, you can drive the machine like you stole it and you won't catch anything on fire, burn up your lens most likely. If you don't, there's a good chance you may. So, you know, that's the kind of quick information that we need to put out there in detail. So that's what we're doing. We're distilling information. So I guess that's an okay way to put it. What did the Chris's think?
I got to start doing that.
So it's tough keeping up with all of that because, you know, we keep track, you know, we try to keep track, you know, where's the cheat sheet or what's a cheat sheet or what about the USB drive, you know, any of those things. Because a lot of y'all probably know our premise on building the whole article library was if the question was asked more than 10 times, we write an article about it. And we had plateaued for a while because we got asked pretty much every question that you could be asked on the Nova series. So now we're doing it with the Odin and the Aurora. So behind the scenes, it's a good thing we have good machines. There's problems, stuff breaks. It's a machine, but not bad. I'm glad I don't work for some of those other ones that may not run quite as long between failure because it gives us time to work on that kind of stuff instead of fixing machines all day.
Have you ever thought about having a modifying? Granted, I never even looked at the thumb drive, but for the people that do, having something on the thumb drive that leads you to the cheat sheet and all that information?
We would. These are, we don't touch these. I mean, they know they're coming to North America. They know they're USA machines, so they could put something on there. That's another something for them to keep track of. Although I believe the scanning offsets are actually contained on each USB drive for each specific machine, and I wasn't aware of that because my previous advice was to just throw that thumb drive away because you don't
What's
need
up?
anything that's on it. So I found
I
out
didn't
that's not exactly true.
I didn't notice it
But
was on there either.
yeah, but all of the best information, is going to be in our cheat sheet and in our living documentation on the article base, not stuck on a bed on a thumb drive, even though that's what goes out with every Thunder, globally. Uh, so, and we've talked about putting stickers with a QR code because we do have QR code generation for the Start Here button and all of that. But man, there's 58 stickers on that machine, and nobody reads any of them now. I
Well,
ain't gonna read one
People
more.
don't people don't use
right,
barcodes.
stick it
People don't use
wherever the
barcodes.
stick the QR code wherever top of the Rarita screen, and then they have to see it.
And it
Yeah.
has to be on the
Check
crate.
check here
Heck,
before doing anything else.
It's got
hey
to be on the
Jim,
crate.
Jim,
Yeah.
I attach it to a big orange tag zip tied to the rotary, and it doesn't get looked at.
There was one on the rotary.
See, I didn't look at it either, and I knew what it was.
And even
Uh,
and even on the heel plate, it has a QR code, and it even says owner's manual on it.
Now, see, and we talked about putting a sticker with the serial number and a QR code to the landing page, also, and that may be something that we do
We
in
we
some
started doing it
capacity.
on the cameras. The cameras now come with the installation QR code with the
hmm
little note that says, "Hey, here's your instructions."
Yeah, and I used to put it
Yep.
on little stickers. If I'd send out a chiller pump, for instance, there'd be a QR code on there for to get to the article on how to replace the pump. But it's just as easy to pop a link in the ticket system. I mean, we can get somebody an answer in like 3 seconds. So it seems to work. I don't know if I'm not putting QR codes on parts anymore when I send them out. So that's
Speaking of
something.
stickers and QR codes, if anybody wants to get cool little stickers with their business name and logo on them, not to give them a shameless free plug, but to give them a shameless free plug, Sticker Mule, M-U-L-E, like a donkey mule. They also do box tape.
Oh, that's cool.
So you know how like Amazon has their logo on the buy.
hmm
I see it
Yeah.
behind me right there on the shelf. There it is. And I made a QR code for
hmm
this.
Nice.
But the stickers are great, and people seem to love them.
Yeah. Now, Thunder Texas has a bunch of cool stuff like that. They've got colored bubble envelopes and stickers and tape, and everything's color matched. And I think that's so cool. I get some every once in a while, but usually I use the post office stuff that you order free, and I use it all. I don't waste it. My packaging is usually not too bad, but and fast. I'm surprised. And that's what we use. What 99.9% of the time is USPS priority mail. The flat rate,
It's
and
the
I'm getting
cheapest.
parts to people in 1 to 3 days. Well, even if you pay twice, you might get one extra day out of it, or double. But typically, most places I can get it in 2 days. But 1 to 3 business days for Chinese laser parts, that's not shabby. So we're not Amazon fast, but we're faster than anybody else in the industry, I think, by a long shot. So anyway, Sticker Mule. All right. Anybody else got any questions or comments or?
Ronnie does.
Will you stop mentioning the 2 week or quickness? Because my wife's sitting over here saying, yeah, it's going to be 4 weeks.
Do you
Because
need
I'm
it to
getting a
be 4
refurbish
weeks?
machine.
Oh, I see. Well, Chris can drag his feet if he needs to, so you have more
No,
time
she
to
wants it
prepare.
tomorrow.
So, Ronnie, I do have some pretty good news for you. Your machine is ready for checkout. So it could be sometime next week that it's ready.
Thank you, baby Jesus.
So it just,
If y'all only
you know,
knew, if any of you are married, you may understand this. When you walk into a place and your wife says, "Ooh, oh heck, I'm in trouble." Well, I do woodworking in the garage. She doesn't take any interest in that. When she started seeing the laser 2 days after I ordered it, she said, "Hey, can I quit my job and run the laser from home?" So
Nice.
yeah, she's anxious to get it.
Work in a school. There's a
I have a wife that doesn't go ooh ah over anything.
Well, mine
I
doesn't
think we need to
really,
save
but
that for the after party, Jim. So
yeah, that is
Maybe
good
that
news, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep. You're welcome.
after I said
So
that, I was like, oh, that's a deep rabbit hole.
hey, you're signing these, aren't you, Chris? Because that's like artwork, man. A
I probably
refurbished Thunder
should.
is like a refurbished Ferrari. You know,
Yeah.
you should sign the inside of it or something and
Can I
put the
put
date
like
on it.
a number like 1 of 12? So after 12, after 24, I'm done. Like, can I put a limit? These are limited edition,
More value.
Limited
right?
Shelby editions.
But yeah, so yeah, it's got,
Inspected by 15. Just put a little sticker on it.
Yeah.
Remember those stickers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tech 2.
Yeah.
But no, I got yours and another one. But check out if there's anything wrong. Of course, I'll fix it. But that's the plan for next week.
You just let me know when, and I'll drive up there.
Will do.
Awesome. Yeah, that whole refurb thing's a great thing. I mean, finding a used Thunder is great in itself. You know, they don't come along that often. But one of these, Tommy and them have been happy with theirs. I'd take one any day. And these things, even if you drop them off the back of a truck, they're tough.
Well,
Yeah.
I look at it this way: it's been refurbished, still has the same warranty. I'm an hour south of where he is now, so it's not
Yeah.
going to take me any time to go get it.
Yeah.
And how many of the new ones get gone through like he's going to do this one?
Right. Well, they all do
None.
one before they hit the ship
Before that, yeah.
in China. But yeah,
Exactly.
they take a pretty long ride. So,
But
and
this
plus,
one
you
is
know where he
getting picked
lives,
out
right? If
now.
anything happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Chris, you might want to start meeting in parking lots or something somewhere.
Right?
Yeah, can we meet at the McDonald's?
Starbucks.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
said it had to be Starbucks.
There you
Ooh,
go.
There's a
So,
Starbucks within reason, but that's yeah.
Time
But
yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
good.
So these machines get a nice little once over, and you can't beat the price on them too. Like when somebody sells a used one compared to this, it's basically a 0-hour machine. It's been through testing in the factory and then set up here, but it's still fresh. It's not like somebody used it for 150 hours and decided it wasn't for them and sold it. It's still
Exactly.
fresh.
Tube's got very little time on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I told him, I said, I don't mind a scratch and dent. You're going to go through this machine. Yes, I know the machines have gone through before they got on the boat, rattles and everything between here and there. You're going to go through this one now, and it's going to be probably better than what the new machines are. And it's discounted.
There you go.
And my
Yeah,
wife,
Maybe a couple scuffs.
I've always
my-
been a function over form kind of guy myself, so I'm not scared of a scratch and dent either.
my
for
wife
sure.
loves my wife loves scratch and dent. She married me.
I told you, Jim. You
Keep on
got
bringing it
you
up.
got 20 more minutes, man. 20 more minutes. Just hold
Well,
on.
the thing is, I probably won't be on for the after show because I don't know if the other group's showing up or not. They haven't responded in days. Poor Travis and Lois, they've been dealing with trying to get healed, their whole household. And or Travis, yeah, Tommy and Lois. Travis, he's just been straight out.
Busy.
Oh, he's been getting new toys. He got a new saw and a new bandsaw. He's tripping out. He's getting more into the woodworking side of things.
Mhm. Awesome.
I've been out for 8 weeks, and it's good to see the same racket going on again. You know,
Oh, yeah, it hadn't changed much, has it?
no,
So
I
I
sent
think everybody's getting a touch here and there.
I spent 4 weeks at Duke University after wrecking a 4-wheeler.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Jim,
What was that, Danny?
Jim,
I spent I've been out 8 weeks. I turned a 4-wheeler over, and
That's not
they
a smart thing.
no, I was on the Hatfield McCoy, and they flew me in the helicopter into Duke University. I spent
Oh
Holy
wow.
4 weeks
cow.
there, and then 2 weeks
Whoa.
in rehab, and been home for a couple weeks. But I tried to get on last week, and y'all wasn't on, so I'm here today.
You can thank Brian for that.
Well, so
Now,
Lois and them are having a time. Lois and Tommy.
yeah, they just been sick. But yeah, I wanted to ask my buddy. He was at Hatfield. Yeah, he's actually a firefighter and she's a nurse. So I wonder if they was in your group or something around you who took care of you.
Yeah. What projects has George been working on? What projects have you been working on, George?
Say it again.
What type of projects? What are you doing? You usually have something to show that you've been doing. Working on? What have you been working on?
I've been doing a lot of slate lately. I got some decent pricing on it for some time, and passed those savings along to customers. I'm plugged in pretty tight into the cycling community, so I've been making a lot of awards and trophies on slate for cycling. Wait a minute. Hang on. I got one here. I know I do.
Can't believe I was put in a corner.
There it is.
Chris show you how to do that?
No.
That's good. That's awesome.
Is that are you coating those before or after or both or anything, or
Nope.
just running them?
Just run them.
Yep. Fixing to ask that because people on the Facebook were talking about that the other week about slate coasters and what to coat them with before, after, all that jazz.
Run them at 1,000 millimeters a second. Stack them in a jig. Run them at 27% power on 100-watt CO2. Just enough air to stop the dust from getting up inside the nozzle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good contrast right there too.
Yes. Big time.
No crazy secrets. Don't coat them. If you coat them, then they don't do their job of absorbing water. Right? Because slate wants to absorb the water, right? Let it do its job. Although I'll tell you what, if you sand them first with a little orbital sander, maybe get them down to like 200, 240, somewhere in that range, then laser it, then lacquer it. Ooh. I think I have one.
Sweet. I've done a few pieces of slate, not very much. I've tried some on the fiber to try to get a couple different colors, but I haven't been too successful on that either.
Oh,
Yeah, that's good contrast.
Yeah.
That one's not sanded ahead. That's just lacquered, but
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get a little fiber.
They're neat. I'm not sure how neat they are yet. We're digging into those a little more. Well, I'm not. Chris's are. So
Yeah, I
Maybe
seem to be tinkering with mine more than running it lately.
oh, the
did you
ZX
get that
stuff.
to work?
I can get EasyCAD to move it. Right now, I'm trying to figure out the diodes so that the autofocus sensor and the um, BJJ-CZ board can both control it without um, interfering with each other. And then maybe talk about doing switches and stuff. An opto isolator would be probably pretty useful at this point. Thought about taking a old opto board and see if I can make that work.
It should
Probably
be
could.
fairly simple for China to wire up, though, right?
Yeah,
That should
yeah,
really come. It should come from there.
yeah. But it's just it's modification. You know, could put some homing switches and stuff on there too, repurpose those. But like I said, I seem to tinker with things more than I make things sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good looking slate.
Mm-hmm.
I've got like an 8-pack of coasters I've been meaning to do for the last 6 months. They're still wrapped.
That's a sanded one. Gives it a different look, but it also stops and cuts down the absorption rate quite a bit.
You can get some nice depth out of the fiber on those. Amazing depth.
That's one of the reasons why I want to get the fiber. That and to do colored metal.
Yeah.
It's cool, but you're not going to make any money at it.
On MOPA?
Yeah.
Yeah, MOPA is not worth the. I mean, it does good stuff, but like Chris said, you're not going to make any money on it because the time it takes to do it is just ridiculous.
And
it's like,
I mean,
it's like doing wrap tumblers. You can make some money on it if you find the right buyer, but it's not like lucrative unless you have a buyer.
When I bought my first MOPA, that's what I thought. I was like, all right, cool. Stainless steel tumblers. I can do multicolors. There ain't no way you're making money on it. It just takes way too long to do the color, and it's inconsistent. I mean, the humidity could be different, and you're annealing that metal in a different way every day. So the settings aren't 100% each time. You can get close.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the benefits to the MOPA is the whole reason that you can do that, because I got color on my standard one, but it was accidental. You know what I mean? But just the granular control and the way you can dial in those MOPAs, I think is the big advantage if you need that much adjustability.
Right.
Well, yeah, and the speed that it brings and the frequency ranges, right? You're not going to get that out of the other two models.
Yeah, you need to be looking at it for something other than just color.
I'm interested in those UV galvos.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Something about there's no power setting. That's not one of the variables.
It is what it is.
I don't know.
They're only like 5 watts, right?
Yeah, they're very low wattage, 5 or 10 watts or something. But yeah, and I accidentally got some colors. I didn't get that wide of a range, even on my non-MOPA machine. Like I said, kind of by accident. But now the other thing with the MOPA, I think you get a lot darker blacks on some of the metals that you can't get. Maybe on like copper or brass or something like that. Isn't it harder to get like a real dark black without having MOPA for some materials?
Aluminum is a pain in the butt.
Okay. So, I mean, even if you're not going to do color, like you're not going to do Porsche labels, it might be beneficial in that respect if that's something you're going to do a lot, if you need that mark, that dark contrast on aluminum or something, like that. My thing is, if UV does most everything that a CO2 and a fiber can do, what optics are they using? See, CO2 uses optics that the fiber would probably ablate and vice versa. But if you've got UV and it handles an even wider array of substrates, what do they make the optics out of? If you can engrave glass, they can't make them out of glass like they do with the fibers. If it'll engrave, I wonder if it will engrave zinc selenide. Maybe that's one of the optics materials that are in there, but that's got to be different too on a UV as compared to a
Mhm.
fiber or a CO2 source. And you think about these machines, you don't ever think about limitations of the optics themselves being a factor. You know, I guess there really truly can't be a laser that'll cut anything. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any way to focus it or steer it.
True.
Things that make you go,
Hmm.
Now who's talking French?
Well, has
That's
anybody
correct.
got anything? We got 9 minutes left. Sure, I know we can maintain for 9 more minutes. Anybody got anything?
That was back to Arsenio Hall days. Yeah,
What does that mean?
Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio
watch
Hall?
Arsenio Hall? Yeah.
I know who he is. I remember the movie Harlem Nights where they're all out there with the Tommy guns or whatever, and they're blowing the whole front of that store all to pieces or wherever. Eddie Murphy's jumping down behind that wall, and then that little guy comes out with that revolver and goes pow at the very end. I think that's hilarious.
For about 5 seconds, he had a talk show at night.
Yeah. I forgot
would
what.
come
That was about 10.
I do kind of remember that. So. Well,
So
I don't have
I'd like to
anything
talk
remarkable.
about the
Yeah.
underusage of lines, or fill and then line.
The what?
Underusage of fill and then line afterwards. It's such a nice, it's such a clean and nice effect, and nobody uses it. And I don't know why. You don't use it, Jim? Your mic's off. Oh, you're on the phone.
I don't use
Kind
it.
of,
I use
sort
it
of.
occasionally.
Yeah,
I like offset fill for a couple things if it's some bigger stuff. It's kind of like
Yep.
line. In a
I've
way.
never done an offset fill before. I'll have to try that sometime.
Now,
Is
fill
that where
plus
you
line I've
basically,
tried.
is that where you can
Just a
basically
clean-
fill an object line with multiple passes over the same?
Yeah, getting smaller and smaller and
area?
smaller each time. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Takes a lot less time than running back and forth across it.
True.
The transversal moves and stuff, and it leaves a different effect. I mean, it gives you a totally different look.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's using vector motion still, so it's under acceleration, constraints and stuff like that, and your object shape. There's a user that posted in another laser for today. He did a custom setup on his diode laser using what looked like offset fill, but just on multiple passes per offset to give it almost like a V
Like a
nose
V
carve.
groove.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was kind of cheating it a little bit.
What was you
Yeah.
saying, Brian? Sorry, I missed that because I was on the phone. What was you saying was a different pass? I totally missed what you were saying.
Oh, what
Offset
the
fill.
offset fill makes a
Offset
totally
fill,
different effect than a raster engrave. Just X swing.
Commonly used for engraving on bricks when you're trying to concentrate heat, engraving brilliance or similar marking sprays on aluminum and copper. Seems to do the trick for concentrating heat in an area versus starting here, going all the way across and coming back. It stays in that one little like letter T until it's done. So adhesion levels are better. And then bricks, you're trying to get that some sort of transformation to turn the brick surface black. And that also concentrates the heat. Now, supposedly there's some bricks formulated out there for regular engraving too that you can buy. So like off the foundation of a regular house, that's a technique to get dark color engraves.
Yep. So
Mine on brick usually turn white, but if you clean them up and then seal it, it usually holds the dark color.
It's hard
I'm
to
not
see
sure.
that, but it's almost like a glass. It is a glass
It's,
coating.
yeah. It's the transition
But these
of
are.
from one state to the other causes that.
Well, I mean,
this is the,
when I engrave it, it's black. It's dark. I wouldn't say it's black, but it's dark. And then after it sits for a while, it turns white. But then if you clean it out and then seal it or even pour some water on it, it'll actually go back to being dark. So I'm not sure. I mean, I didn't play around with it much, but I'm sure there's something that could be done to fix that. But
All right, here we go again. Dead silence.
I love that.
Yeah, it
Oh,
always
that's
follows
great.
Jason. Why is that?
I don't know.
don't
And
know.
and I used to hate that so bad I would just start saying stuff whether it was filtered or not just to keep, the space filled with noise. But I like the awkward silence now. I look forward to those moments.
it's,
Or we can listen to Jason's turn signal.
Hey,
Oh,
at
yeah,
least
my
he's
bad.
using it.
Yeah, at least he's using it. Yeah, he does live in Florida. I didn't think they used him down there.
yeah, here in Florida, not many people know what that thing is. They don't know how to use or stay out of the left lane either.
Tennessee's not great
Ladies and
about that
gentlemen,
either.
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Kentucky's not bad. They seem to want to stay right except to pass. See, because their signs say that. It says keep right except to pass. It says it. In Tennessee, it says slower traffic, keep right. Well, that's a relative term, right? What is slower traffic? That's. I think they should rename them. I think they should change all of how stupid I think changing signs are because it's millions of dollars and it's dumb just to change the name of something. You know what I mean? It's worth it if they would go by and change all those signs from keep right except to pass, make it that instead of whatever it says now. But
Yeah, you don't want to be
that's
doing
just
that up in New England because you get out of that left lane, you better be making progress or you're going to get a ticket.
Yeah. And I would never drive in Jersey, I don't think. Not after riding a cab up there from New York to Trenton or wherever I had to go.
No, you just close
Ever.
your eyes. And
Now
touch
it was
accelerator.
fun. Now the guy damn near killed us probably 4 times. Wait. Hang on a
I
minute.
live in Jersey.